almost gone. Okay, welcome to the Tuesday, September 6th meeting of the Hot Springs Board of Directors. Tonight, our invocation will be led by Pastor Tim Hale, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand with me?
Let's pray. Our Father, we thank you for an opportunity to, Lord, conduct a business that has to do with your will. And Lord, I ask that as things are talked about and discussed, Lord, that it falls within your plan and your purpose for this community. I know we all strive and desire for our community to be a great place and Lord, a place that seeks you and that seeks the welfare of all people, Lord. So I ask that as we meet and discuss, that those things happen. And Lord, all this we ask in your Son's name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call this meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Ramick.
Here.
Folly.
Here.
Carney.
Here. I am here. And I'm glad to be back. I've been gone a long time. Directors, are there any, the first item on tonight's agenda is the approval of the agenda. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda, including items, if any, to be removed from the consent agenda?
Mayor, one item, if I may. One of your agenda items, agenda item number 14, which is to consider ordinance number 16-51. This has to do with the solicitation within the city streets. After some further reflection of the draft, there is a revised ordinance at your stations. I would ask that the board consider replacing the revised version for consideration of tonight's agenda.
Okay, do we need to vote on that?
Yes, ma'am,
right
please.
Now? Okay.
A quick question for our attorney. Is this a revision to the one that was sent out earlier today? It had the yellow highlights?
No, sir, that is the revision.
All right, that's the revision. Thank you.
Okay.
May I so move that we adopt the revision of the ordinance?
Okay, do I have a second? And do I need to have a roll call on that?
Wouldn't mind.
Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. Okay, we accept the revision. Okay, are there any other additions or deletions or modifications to the agenda? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye, it is adopted. I skipped the motion and second. Do you need that on there?
You had one on the floor.
I had it on the first part. Okay. Okay, the next item of business is consider the approval of the minutes of the board meeting that was held on August the 9th. Are there any corrections, additions, modifications, or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes as...
So moved.
Okay, and a
Second.
second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. It is approved. In an effort to afford an equal and orderly opportunity for all of our citizens and guests to address the items on our agenda, I want to remind you that we adhere to a 3-minute limit on your comments. And for your convenience, we will display a clock timer on the monitors. And out of respect for all of us, we ask that you please honor this request. While members of the board may have questions of the speakers, I ask that any general comments be reserved for the board discussion after all the speakers have been heard. As a reminder, would everyone please speak into the microphone so that everything can be heard by those attending and viewing the meeting? And when you address your microphone, please state your name and address. We also ask that all cell phones be silenced during our meeting, and please refrain from any disturbance. If you must leave prior to the closing of our meeting, we ask that you do so quietly without discussing issues on your way out. We also thank you for being here. I walked in, usually I come through and the room is not quite so full, and I thought, oh no, are we having a mob thing tonight? I'm not sure. And then I realized that all of you are kind and gentle people and you're not here to protest. Thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate your interest in the business of our city, and thanks for coming out. And we do thank those that are watching on TV. We forget that sometimes because there are a lot of people and they give us feedback. You know, if something's not working, the mics aren't up, they let us know that. So there are a lot of people watching at home, and we appreciate your interest in our city also. We have some guests tonight, and first of all, we would like to recognize the Hot Springs Arts Advisory Committee update and Dale Blackwelder. Are you here, Dale? There he is, back in the middle.
Well, hello. My name is Dale Blackwelder. I'm the chairman of the Arts Advisory Committee, and I'd like to give you a few brief tidbits of what we've done and accomplished this year. And if we can start this thing, I'll be glad to do it quickly. This one is Mother Nature. It's as you come in from the north side of town, it's right there. We did a rededication of it, and we did restoration work and some maintenance to it. We got the misters working, we got the lights working and pouring, and now it looks like the Valley of Vapors. When you come in the morning or the evening, the lights are on it, and the mist works really good. And then let's go past. Oh, the tours. We did tours in the park during the festival times. We try to get as many people together, and we've done 3 outside tours behind the farmers market and the sculpture garden there. We've done tours inside the convention center, and a number of people said that they'd like to get their civic organizations to come and do it as a group, and we said we'd be glad to do private showings or tours anytime anybody wants. So everybody out there looking, if you want a tour, let us know, because we will do it. And the Upcycle Sculpture Festival was a big success. We got a little grant money from the Giving Circle, and we did a festival, and we had old, young, pros, and everybody that came attended it, said they loved it, and we did a phone feedback on the people that actually showed at the show. Every single one of them, almost to a T, said, are we going to do it again? They know other people that want to do it. So we've done that, and the next one shows the 2 sculptures that we were actually purchased the horse with the Giving Circle money, and we were donated by the same artist, the Eagles. And so the only problem is with getting sculptures is we need to figure out how to get some plinths or risers or bases to put them on, because you can't put them out in the grass. If we can get them donated or be able to buy one, we would really like to display them, but putting them out in the park for kids to climb on, probably not a good idea for the sculpture or the kids, so, or even an adult. So,
what does it cost to put a pedestal up for something like that?
Pardon?
What is the cost to put up a pedestal for something like
generally
that?
Between $800 and $1,200 by the time we get here are the sizes of them that we use, and some have to be taller, because like the Eagles, you probably don't want it anywhere where you can touch it because it's got long tendrils on it. So we need to put a sonotube up on it. So those are less expensive than doing the vaults, but they all have to be on risers of some sort. And then it makes it look important, and we have placements for them from the city all the way to the lake is where we want to end up. So we need some kind of way of displaying them. We have plenty of places, and some are already marked. And then and the maintenance and repair, maintenance is so cost efficient compared to repairing. And we've taken a lot of time and looked at each one of them inside the convention center and around the city. And once we can catch up, it will be so cost efficient to do maintenance on them. And we're all out there looking at them, everybody in the thing. And we have people come in and say, oh, did you see the spot on this or whatever from just the general public, because people actually look at them all the time. So we like input from the community, but we are out there looking now too, and we've had a pretty good response about being able to take them and move them and fix them, or on-site fix them, depends on the damage. And the next one is, the sculpture relocation. We had one sculpture downtown in front of the ribbon of water that goes through downtown, and it had been compromised. So we took it down, and see the trees on the other side? That's where the Jean Faux's was, but you couldn't see it because we don't know, because I know the power line people came in and clipped one of our trees down flush, and it killed it. So we don't want to kill the trees coming into town, so we need an arborist or somebody to cut it back. So we removed that one because you couldn't see it and put it in this one in place of the other one while we're waiting for the repair work to get finalized on it. So we can move things around, depends on what we need. And the festival just started like a week after we did that, so we didn't want to have a big spot right in the middle of downtown where everyone stands. So the next one is downtown sculptures. There's this one and the next one. Sculptures aren't only procured by the city. We actually get donations and clubs and different organizations that are glad to put something and donate for some special reason. And we've accepted 2 or 3 of them already this year. On the next thing, I think shows the mural and one that we put in, we didn't put it, but it was placed in the memorial garden down behind the sculpture thing there. And it's, so we try to get them in any way we can, but we do want to put them up. So we need some way to figure out how to put them up. And maintenance is key, because we've got a great collection. And actually, some of the artists that we got things from wanted to give us something to put in our garden, because it's getting so important that artists want to be represented by our collection. And we need as much advertisement as we can get, and it's getting well known. We just had a great article in a magazine just came out a couple of days ago touting the Hot Springs Sculpture Garden. So that's all I have to say. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer any. But that's what we did this year, and we hope to do the same or more next year.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate it
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you
Yes.
so much. Would you have the people from your committee stand up? Are there other people here?
Oh, there are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Have
I
them all
was hogging the
stand.
whole thing.
Yes. There you go.
It's not in the shadows all the time, but Jean Wallace is
Yeah.
such a great person to have on our side.
She is.
You have no idea. We really appreciate every single thing she does.
Thank you so much.
thank you,
We
guys.
appreciate her too. Thank you.
You made her
There
blush.
she is. Stand up, Jean. So the ones that don't know you, stand up. There she is. Thank you, Jean. Let's give her a hand. Thank you. Okay. We have Friends of the Park, Ned Skog, and with a presentation. Skoog, I'm sorry.
Skoog, actually, yes, ma'am. And I'm the current president of Friends of the Parks. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Would like to recognize we do have 3 of our board members here.
Did you
Barry
have them
Warner, John Simpson, and Ken Freeman.
Oh, okay.
And as you may know, of course, we strive to help in ways with fundraisers or our expertise in the Parks and Trails arena. And tonight we're happy to say that last Thursday we presented checks for $6,165 to the city. $5,000 was for pass-through funds from the Walton Foundation for Malvern Avenue Complete Streets design, and $1,165 was to help with the bridge design for the upcoming southern end of the Greenway. And I might mention that in the past 10 years or so, and with the help of a lot of people and groups and staff, Friends has been able to donate or directly affect $243,000 and another $152,000 in land and work in kind. And furthermore, the direct dollars usually get used for grant match, so they end up being multiplied 4 times. So, and we currently have another $33,000 committed for activity coming up. But I'd like to say thank you guys for all your work. You guys are volunteers, do a ton of work, and appreciate everything you do. glad to answer any questions if there are any.
Oh, we appreciate you, and that's an awesome report. We appreciate all the work that you guys do all the time.
Now, Ned, you realize, you do realize that Mr. Blackwelder's presentation was really directed at you. He needs money for those pedestals. Thank you for your work.
Okay, we appreciate that so much. We have a proclamation here tonight, and I will read that. Ms. Lacey Field, would you like to come up to the podium, and I will present it to you. This is the Women's Chamber 50th anniversary. Or which one was that with? I'm sorry, wrong one. Okay, Geneva, please come up. Just come up to the podium, and then I'll read it and then present it to you. Okay, whereas on September 20th, 1966, a body of local women formed the Women's Chamber of Commerce of Hot Springs, being the only women's group devoting the entire energy to the advancement of the civic, commercial, cultural, educational, and health interests of our city of Hot Springs and Garland County. And whereas your heritage from the past, the opportunities of the present, and the challenge of the future confront an ever-growing Hot Springs. And whereas I proclaim to this community that your vision to inspire and promote the visibility of women in Garland County, to encourage economic development, and to foster a partnership with individuals based upon mutual growth, respect, and support of our community endeavors, has made a significant impact on our city. And now, therefore, I, Ruth Carney, Mayor of the City of Hot Springs, on behalf of the Board of Directors, do hereby proclaim the month of September as Women's Chamber Awareness Month in Hot Springs, Arkansas, recognizing the contributions that this time-tested organization has made and will continue to make to the citizens of Hot Springs and Garland County. In witness whereof, I have hereto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed on this 25th day of June, which was your party that I missed, in the year of our Lord, 2016. I want to thank you and all the ladies. Do you have several of them here?
There are several of us here.
Becca, please. You're on that group, aren't you?
Yeah, go a little bit.
I think the whole city is coughing. I'm not sure. Everybody I know today has.
Not just her and Hillary.
Only those who have been to Paraguay.
Now they think she's too old. Yeah, not healthy.
I'll shut up. Get up there, Marcia.
Can you see Marsha?
Everybody there?
Look at that pretty red hair.
Marsha hiding.
It's all right.
Okay, we do this. Thank you.
Babe.
It goes rolling.
Dog shit.
Okay.
Ma'am,
All
you
right.
want me to take over?
No, ma'am, I'm just waiting till everybody gets out, and we can do it, and it's giving them time to exit.
Look like you're
Okay.
having a little throat problem there.
Reading the other list of people. We will now hear our city manager's report, and we missed, you were gone 3 weeks, and I was gone 3 weeks, so we're all catching up on everything, kind of.
We haven't had a chance to exchange photographs yet.
Not
but
at all.
I'm looking forward to that. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. I want to start off by saying that a few months ago when I started here in Hot Springs, one of the commitments I made was to spend a little bit more time getting to know Judge Rick Davis and working with our county officials and collaborate wherever we could on different things. And one of those things that I discovered was the radio system that I think this board and the county probably for equal amounts of time have been grappling with since probably, about 8 or 9 years now, it looks like. So last week I recommended to the judge that that the county, their staff, and some of the people that are involved in their emergency services sit down with me and our police and fire chiefs and talk about radios. And so we did that today, and we had a very productive meeting this morning. It was a very pleasant meeting, and we had some takeaways from that meeting. The county, I think, is probably leaning toward an AWIN solution, but from my perspective, it's premature for us to say, because we want to bid out that project and find out, what we want competition. I think that's going to be really important for us and probably for them as well. So we just sort of approached the problem different ways. I think they approached it with a presumption that AWIN was already at the table, so they wanted to have that conversation, and we are now on our second study. We've got a preliminary draft of it out right now. But the really positive thing that came out of it is both the city and the county committed to one another, and we agreed to say so publicly that we would not proceed with a solution that wasn't going to leave the city and the county interoperable together. Yeah. Now, they may have different systems. We don't know that yet. We may end up with a completely different system, but it's going to be compatible so that we can talk to each other regardless. And they made that commitment, and so did we, and I'm pleased with that. The second thing that we wanted to commit to was to considering a joint purchasing agreement, because we're going to need about 350 units, and they are going to need an equivalent amount thereabouts. And so we think that if we joint purchase, we'll probably have more leverage in the marketplace than we would otherwise. So those were a couple of really common sense. And then we're also agreed that we would keep meeting as we get closer and closer to solutions. You all have a draft of our preliminary report, and this is a multi-million-dollar fix, and that's probably why you haven't fixed it already. So I have the endearing challenge of trying to find that in our budget coming up. So we'll be working on that for some solutions. But I'm real pleased with the cooperation that we had and the discussion we had today with the county. Next, I'll be attending the West Central Arkansas Planning and Development meeting. Their board meeting is in Russellville this Thursday, so I'll be traveling there for that. And then I want to say a few things about the Majestic project. This week, our contractor will be working to salvage the signage atop the red brick portion of the hotel, with the awning, framework, and decorative brick inlay salvage taking place as well. Some of you probably know that last week they completed the fountain removal inside the lobby, which I think was a good win for us. Local utility providers Energy and Resort Cable will be working to relocate utility lines away from the Lanai Tower during the week of September 12th to the 16th. This work will include, and I know we have a new underground utilities ordinance. I'm really proud of that, and we've got compliments too, by the way. Today I heard from people that really like that. But we do have an exception for temporary projects, and so this is one of those. We'll be moving a temporary utility pole into the city's median along Park Avenue for those utilities during the construction, or demolition rather. Street closings will also occur on Friday evening, September 16th, in preparation for the work to begin on Monday, September 19th. And that work will begin with the Lanai Tower. Motorists and pedestrians will be advised of the street closings, and work by signage and portions of Park Avenue and Cedar Street will be impacted. Staff is currently working with our partners at EPA Region 6 and ADEQ, the Technical Assistance to Brownfields program at Kansas State University, to facilitate a redevelopment, visioning, and strategic planning process for the site. I know some of you have had questions about what's the next steps for the Majestic, so securing this grant and doing some public outreach to get ideas from the rest of the members of our community, I think, is really important, and so that's going to be taking place first. And once we get a clean bill of health, of course, we'll know a lot more about what's possible on the site. Then this Friday, September 9th, is the Hot Springs Open Bike Rally. And I don't know what that means, because I've never seen a closed bike.
Never seen anything like it.
But that's what I heard. The windows at City Hall would be rattling, is what I was told. But anyway, that begins at 9 a.m. and goes until Saturday, at September 10th at midnight. Then the 14th annual, and I don't think there's a connection here, but the 14th annual Alzheimer's Arkansas Walk will be held Saturday, September 17th from 10 until noon. This event is to raise funds and awareness in support of those with Alzheimer's. The event will begin at the end of Exchange Street Parking Plaza. Concessions will also be served at the plaza. And then next up, there's a Trail of Tears commemorative motorcycle ride procession leaving Oaklawn Park Monday, September 19th at 9 a.m. and traveling south on Central and then west on the MLK bypass on the way out of town. The event is held yearly to raise awareness of what Native Americans were subjected to on the Trail of Tears. And I'm familiar with that because my great-great-grandmother was a Cherokee Indian, and reading that book, which was, by the way, pretty boring when you're 8 years old, but that was part of the family training in my house. So my mom will be glad to hear we're celebrating the Trail of Tears here. And then I have some positive news. We had some kudos from folks, some students at ASMSA for Jean Wallace, because she did a presentation with them that was really helpful. And then also Officer Savage of the police department helped a patient who was having real trouble getting into a wheelchair and getting medical help, and he rendered over-the-top assistance for that family. And also we got kudos today from Steve Arison at the Convention Center for a successful active shooter training drill. So I'm just going to pass that around for board members if they want to see that.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, I haven't been here long enough to know a lot about this from a personal reference standpoint, but one of the things cities always have to grapple with is how to minimize risk in the workplace, and that's risk of injuries, risk of lawsuits, all of that. And a lot of that comes down to training, and I understand that the city of Hot Springs once upon a time had a pretty active and successful training program that for budgetary reasons, and they lost their resources and a lack of staffing resources primarily, they discontinued the program some time back, and we found a way to restore the program. So I want to thank Doretha Yates for being willing in her department to take on the payroll function that has been in HR most recently, because most of you know that HR is probably our most understaffed department for what they do, for the amount of people that they have to serve. And there just hasn't been enough resources in that department to bring back the training program. And I think in this age where lawsuits seem to crop up frequently, it would really be good for the city to reinstate that program. Everything from sexual harassment to any other thing you can imagine in the workplace, safety drills, all of that. And Minnie Lennox, I want to thank her too, because she was really eager to bring the program back, but she just didn't have the resources. So now that Doretha basically made room in her staff to take on the payroll function, and that will allow us to reinstate the training program, which I think is going to be great. I think it'll actually help prevent some of the litigation that we're experiencing right now, probably into the future. So I want to thank both of those department heads for being so gracious and willing to take that on and make those adjustments. And Mayor, that's all I have this evening.
As you were making the report, I just hated to put anything negative in, but I think we have a large snake roaming the city right now, so beware. It's on top of cars and in restaurants and all kinds of places. I shouldn't have told him that, should I? No, I got an email from a tourist. It's huge. I don't know if all of you have seen it or not. I guess
Control.
it's under control. Okay, great, because the tourists were kind of upset. They said,
That's a first for me.
we enjoyed the city, but we didn't like the snake. So hopefully we can deal with animals. That would be Dan Bug, maybe, I guess. But we thank you so much. Do any of our directors have announcements concerning upcoming events? Yes.
The Park Avenue Community Association meeting will be Monday, September 19th at the Pullman Heights Baptist Church at 6 p.m. For those of you in the audience and in the listening audience, the Hot Springs Area Cultural Alliance is going to have, I see the arts group left, and that's who I wanted to direct it to.
Snake ran on.
They're having, they're seeking and looking for new committee members, artists, and volunteers, and potential board members. Because we finally figured out after 3 years it's about to kill some of us. We were doing everything. So watch on hotspringsarts.org if you have any interest at all. There's all kinds of things to do. I'm the one who organizes the studio tour, and it's turned into such an enormous event, and we keep trying to figure out how to do it for 2 full weekends. We haven't quite accomplished that yet, but not everybody can make. It takes 200 miles to drive and see every single studio that's on the tour. So we have them, and that's not including the ones in the village, if we add them. So we have an abundance of really creative people here in the county, and we want to showcase that. So go to hotspringsarts.org if you might be interested in getting involved. We probably need some new blood in there. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Upcoming events? I have one. We're really excited. We've been working on it for a year, or we work for it every year. But the 27th Annual Leadership Prayer Breakfast is sponsored by the businesses and the citizens of our community. Will be October the 4th at 6:20 a.m., early enough for everybody to come enjoy the morning and then get to work on time. It'll be in Horner Hall. The breakfast, if you want to be a sponsor, you can. It's $100. The table host is $160, and that seats 8 people. But if you would just by yourself like to come, it's $20. And if you would like to order by phone, you call Gary Welch with Jordan, Woolsey, Crone, and Keaton, and get this number, 501-624-5788. That's 501-624-5788, and Gary will be glad to arrange a table for you. Our speaker this year, I'm really excited about it, is Brad Moore. He's coming from Kansas City, and he's recently retired just this past year, president of Hallmark Hall of Fame. And for 33 years, he's produced movies and commercials and helped with Hallmark cards that you just cry over when you send them to your mama. It's just really, I'm really excited about that. He's a very unique person with a great personality. I think you'll enjoy that, and maybe he'll bring a movie. I don't know. Our governor will be there. We have our state and national officials. The president has been invited, but I don't think he's accepted. But they send it to all elected officials for our state, local, and national government. So we hope that you get your tickets really soon, because the building will be packed out, and the tables, if the last ones to buy tickets are the tables that are way in the back. So if you want to sit up toward the front, you got to get your reservation in really soon. So call that number, Gary Welch, at 501-624-5788, and it's October the 4th on a Tuesday morning. Okay? Anybody else? That's it? The next item of business is the consideration of the consent agenda. Items in this section are of a routine nature and will be considered as one item of business without discussion. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, and would you please call the roll?
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. Now, the next item of business is the public hearing regarding the ordinance of annexation of the Lakeside Road enclave by the city of Hot Springs. Council, do you have anything to say on that, or we just go ahead and open up
Mayor,
for
if
the
you would
public
just
hearing?
open the floor for public discussion as a public hearing, I think that we have a...
Yes, we have someone signed up.
We can certainly give an intro of this area that is being considered for the annexation.
Okay. Did someone...
Lance, do you have a map for that?
Yeah, actually, I was just getting, excuse me 1 minute.
Mayor's Board is aware, state law provides for the ability of a municipality to enact an ordinance to annex property that is completely surrounded by the city limits. This is plus or minus 40 acres off of Lakeside Road between Hillside Place and, what is that, Meadow? Right there.
High Meadow Loop.
High Meadow Loop, yeah. And so this property, as the map indicates, is completely surrounded by the city limits. Pursuant to state statute, a public hearing must be held by the governing body prior to your consideration of such an ordinance. And so we are here tonight to open this up for public comment.
Okay. We have Carolyn Ray signed up to speak. Would you like to come forward?
I'm not really here to speak. I think I understand the issue and everything, but I didn't know how else to ask a few questions.
This is the way.
Okay, perfect. My one big concern is that I have never lived in the city. I've always had property outside in the county. And so my concern is that even though I've read all the literature, I have some questions that were not answered in the letters you sent or in the brochure. What is the process to answer those questions? It would be specific to like either rentals or changes. I think I saw on your monitor that there's a brochure for the regulations for keeping your yards up and stuff like that. What if you miss some of those and I will be in the city, I'm assuming. What if you just don't know?
Yeah.
That
Do
you-
we have a brochure that tells all of
There,
that?
there was a brochure, Kathy, I believe, as far as she's talking about Title 17.
This is the only one we
Oh, okay.
got that
Was
was
that-
sent to us, but that doesn't answer
Okay.
all those things about, property or
Would you want to ask a few of those questions now, and then we'll, if there is more than we can handle, we'll
Okay.
set you up a time to speak
Okay.
with them.
Well, Is my time about up?
Yeah, if she has questions about particular regulations that involve department heads that aren't here this morning.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Or this evening, Mayor, I certainly would not mind taking time out of my day to meet with you personally.
Okay.
If you would like to call my office tomorrow,
Okay.
I'd be happy to meet with you,
That'd be
623-4023.
Oh, hold on, just a sec. 623 what?
4023.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming, looking at the rules and regulations, that it's kind of a done deal, or not? Since we are surrounded now because of someone voluntarily becoming annexed. Okay, all right. That's all I had. Just worried about what would happen if we just missed it. Because I'm assuming that in the city you have to get permission to do a lot of things you don't have to do in the county, like cut down trees or do
Well, I think
things like that.
You would need permission to cut down a tree, but if there were building code issues that had to be dealt with, then yes, ma'am.
And are there different building codes for like rental houses in the city or in the county? It's all kind of standard?
It's governed by state law. The issue is whether or not they're enforced.
Oh, okay, okay. So there's nothing like we need to be worried about or
No, ma'am.
I'll ask you the specific ones later.
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we do want to meet, answer all your questions so that you'll feel okay about it. Thank you. Okay. Do we have anyone else that would like to speak to that item that didn't get signed up? Anyone else in the public hearing? Okay. I will now close the public hearing. And then we will say again, if you have other questions, if people at home are listening, you can give our attorney a call, and he'll be glad to answer your questions. Okay. The next item of business is to consider, it's our new business, is we consider resolution number R16-134. Council, would you please read the resolution by title?
Resolution R16-134, a resolution authorizing additional vehicle licenses and approving amendment number 2 to the franchise agreement with JJ's Pedicab Company. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved, Mayor.
And a second?
Second.
In discussion. Good to have you here.
Okay. Richard Grandin, Intercity Transit Resident Advisor. Hot Springs Transportation Advisory Committee called a public hearing on August 18th, to consider the request from Mr. Jason Bennett, owner of JJ Pedicab Company. Mr. Bennett requests 4 additional specialty transit license and extended hours of operations. JJ has experienced solid business growth over the last 6 months since opening and has a result to wish to add 4 vehicles or pedicabs to his existing fleet. He also requests new service hours from 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. The request changes will bring a total number of pedicabs to 8 units. During the public hearing, there was no members present to question Mr. Bennett, so the hearing was closed. At the conclusion of the hearing, the committee voted unanimously to recommend it to the city board, and pursuant of Hot Springs Transportation Specialty Code 13-1-110, the board can grant franchise for specialty transit service defined as vehicle drawn by a horse, mule, animal, or any novelty-type vehicles, which Mr. Bennett has. A summary of the minutes have been included in the packet. Mr. Bennett's financial impact to the city was $75 will be the grand total.
Okay.
And Mr. Bennett is here tonight if you want to direct any questions to him. I know he's jumping up and down.
He signed up to speak. Come on, Jason.
First off, I just wanted to
Come up to the mic and give us your name and your address.
I'm Jason Bennett. I live at 3331 Highway 26 in Hollywood, Arkansas.
Okay.
I just want to tell everyone in the community and the board members, thank you for your help. This has been an exceptional 6 months. We've went from 1 unit 7 months ago to 8 units today that are licensed. 5 of them have been inspected by the police department and meet their criteria. 3 are going first thing in the morning, and I'm paying the remainder permit status for the other 3 in the morning, provided we get this stamped. We've been overwhelmed this weekend, holidays especially. We're a tremendous asset. There are a lot of safety reasons for us to be out there, and in my heart that make me feel good. Like a man was assaulting women the other day, and my workers, we didn't physically touch him, but we restrained him until the police officers got there and made the situation better. A lady fell down on that right outside the Majestic where that metal platform is where you walk over it, and when it gets a little dew on you, you can hit right there. And at Arlington, in the last few weeks, we've had ladies fall down. I put them on a cart, let them rest, relax, stop them from crying or bleeding, and we help them out. And the city police department pulled up the other day while we were doing that and assisted us with a lady for about 30 minutes, gave her hugs, made her feel good. We want to be a huge asset to the community. We do a $12 tour. We tell everybody about the old Medical Arts building being in 1957 feature of Superman, where it was the actual, the Daily Planet. I'm ADD, so thank you all for working with my energy level. And all I can tell you is that we're safe, friendly, we've had no accidents, and I only hire the most qualified personnel. When the track opens up, we're going to be taking back roads as much as possible. I've already been out there taking bikes and made sure that everything is going to be copacetic. We're going to be the biggest asset to the track. I've met with the general managers and stuff, got meetings and stuff set up. When people let out 10,000, 20,000, we're going to be sitting there with 8 of them, if y'all stand ready to haul 3 people on each one to their car as fast as possible, or to their hotel. And some of the residential community areas that live in the homes, it makes it so much easier for us to come pick them up 4 blocks down, bring them and drop them off at the track. So thank you for taking up more of your time than needed.
Jason, that is exciting. We appreciate what you're doing. We appreciate your energy that you have there. I've been watching you on the bikes, and that's really awesome. I just have one question.
Ma'am.
Instead of having it, we see you quite often.
Yes, ma'am.
Unless you're adding new bikes, would you like for us to give you a 24/7 time area so that you can just ride your bikes whenever, so that you won't have to come and adjust the time with us every time?
That would be awesome, and also because I didn't expect to make as much money as I have and do as well as I have, I would actually like the opportunity to tell the board that we do runs to Walgreens for people for medical if they call them ahead of time and tell the pharmacist who we are. We do cigarette runs. We don't do alcohol. We do cigarette runs. We do Tums runs if you got heartburn and you're staying in a hotel.
I got to get your number, Jason.
And this is the biggest thing I want people to know. If you're on walkers, stilts, handicap, or having a hard time, you and the person walking with you ride for free. We built this to 14 employees, and with your stamp, 8 carts. And truthfully, I want to come back for 4 more carts before the first of the year.
Okay.
And I don't like taking up all of your time, but with a 6th grade education and a GED, all I've had is you guys and him.
Are you still working at Cracker Barrel?
No, ma'am.
Oh, you just got one job now. That's cool.
I can't keep track of everything. It's been overwhelming. And
that's great, Jason.
And we love you guys, and we love what y'all have done for us.
All right. What if is it okay if we would make, I don't know how to do that, amend it to give him so he won't have to change his hours constantly?
There's a motion to amend his operation hours to 24/7. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay.
God bless you all, and we hope to make you proud.
You do.
That's your motion to amend.
Yeah,
so
that's
you'll-
our motion to amend. Now, we have, that's okay, you got it. Okay. Now, considering resolution number R16-134, hearing any further discussion, do you have any?
I do have a question. We just made the amendment to provide 24-hour coverage. Is there any reason we would not just let him add his vehicles without having to come here for approval?
He would need to do that under the provisions of the ordinance. It has to go through
okay.
the
All right, great. Thank you.
Transportation Advisory Committee
Yeah.
before it comes here.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll move approval.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Oh, you want to call the roll?
Sure.
Yeah.
Ramick.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Kearney.
Aye.
It is
And
aye.
you want to give us all your phone number just in case we need something. Okay. All right. Okay. The next item of business is consider resolution number R16-135. Would you please read the resolution by title?
Resolution R16-135, a resolution approving application from the Thacker Organization LLC, doing business as Belle of Hot Springs for charter, sightseeing, and taxi permits with 3 trolley licenses pursuant to the Hot Springs Transportation Code. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
Mayor, I would move for the adoption of this resolution.
In the second?
Second.
Okay. Again.
Okay, again, the Transportation Advisory Committee on the 18th held a public hearing, considered a request from Mr. Thacker for the operation of 3 trolley licenses as sightseeing, charter, and taxi permits. Mr. Thacker owns the Showboat Belle on Hot Springs, and organization hopes to use the trolleys to transport his tours from local hotels to the Belle, and then which he would take them back for after their tour on the lake. After discussion, the Transportation Advisory Committee, public comment was open. The committee investigated the chance trolley, which everybody came in a little bit late. It's sitting out front. And the public hearing was closed. The board voted unanimously to recommend approval of the permit to the Board of Directors on the condition of having the proper insurances and the application in the minutes of the meeting, which are in your packet. Mr. Thacker's financial impact to the city will be a total of $336 for all of the licenses and seats. And Mr. Thacker is here tonight if you would like to ask him any personal.
Okay. Would you like to
Questions?
speak to us?
I'm good if you guys are good.
Okay. Do you have any
Hard to
questions?
follow Jason.
I know. Will you come pick us up?
I do have a
too?
question.
Yes. But if you, I seen you guys had internet. If you could go to hotSpringsTrolley.com, who has that?
Okay.
You can actually see the pictures, but I've got one down here.
I love it. It's really neat.
And these are not the old trolleys. I got these in New York.
Okay.
Did you?
Will these be used only for transportation to and from the Belle?
No, we're going to do charter service. A lot of the local event planners and stuff like that have already called to set up, wanting to get them. We can't do it until you guys say yes. And that's a temporary site, so we're ready to get it active and going. But we're also going to do, like during the race meets and stuff like that. And this came about through talking with the hotel managers and stuff like that, because we're set up packages together. And, we're going to go pick them up and get them, because a lot of people don't know how to get there. We're way out there. We don't have a presence downtown, so this gets us there. And during the race meet, that's what the taxi thing's all about. I mean, we're not going to pick people up at 4 o'clock in the morning when they call. I mean, this is simply during the race meet, be able to shuttle people to and from the hotels, because that was something they asked me to do, because during that meet, they've got clients that are waiting out there 2 and 3 hours to get a cab back, and, we can pull up there and take 40 of them back, and they can start spending their money in their bar instead of somebody else's bar. So
I think it's a great idea, and I just wanted to make sure that it's
We're
going
making a
to
lot
be
of
open to the
improvements out there.
public, and I like the idea of the Oak Line and being downtown and seeing the trolleys in the downtown area again.
Thank you.
And I, for one, also feel like that you need the trolleys out there, because your parking out there is limited. I went out there, as you know, and rode the Belle on Labor Day. with my little group, and I invited Mr. Frazier and his family to join me, and we took the fireworks cruise together. But your parking is limited out there.
Which we may come back later for talk about some.
I don't know where you can get any more land out there, but anyway, but having the trolleys helps you with your parking problem out there as well. That's the point I want to make.
All right. Any other questions?
I just would like to make note that the downtown task force that looked at how to develop the downtown a couple of years ago, one of the items that was addressed was the need to connect the lake and Oak Lawn and the downtown. And the last two proposals we have seen are really the solutions that you guys have come up with, because there have been no solutions offered to this point in time. So welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments?
I think that's great for the city.
Thank you.
Me too. And they're cute. They're really cute.
Thank you. A lot of work.
Hearing no further discussion, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Foley?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Jones? Aye. Clark?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Ramick?
Aye.
Carney?
Aye. It is adopted. Welcome. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01649. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Do I have a motion?
May I so move?
And a second?
Second.
Okay, and all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01649, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 5048, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. If you would entertain a motion and a second to adopt and have discussion if
I
needed.
so move.
I got a motion to adopt and a second?
Second.
Okay. And Ms. Selman?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Kathy Selman, Planning and Development Director. This proposal would eliminate content-based regulations that apply only to political signs. What it will do is eliminate political signs as a separate category. There will still exist signs for political candidates and issues. We're not eliminating that. We're eliminating a category in the code. The Supreme Court held that the regulation of signs must be content neutral. We have a category that is entirely based upon the content of the signs. That needs to go. So that is this proposal. In the future, a political sign will fall under the category of temporary sign. That should be simple. It's not. About a year ago, October of 2015, the board passed an ordinance that held the regulation of temporary signs, all temporary signs, in abeyance for a year. So through the end of December of 2016, there will be no regulating of temporary signs, and that would be regardless of content. So that has been confusing, and I hope it won't be anymore. We're looking at the temporary sign code and hope sometime within 2017, earlier rather than later, that you will have a new sign code proposal to take a look at and adopt. Anyway, for the rest of 2016, there won't be any city regulation of temporary or political signs. And the important things to note are that, and this doesn't really change anything, no temporary or political signs can be placed in the public right-of-way or on city property, and they can't be placed on another person's property without the owner's permission. Not only is that the law, but I think I remember my mother telling me something like that. So it's pretty simple, and that's all there is to it.
Got to have permission.
And allow that to serve as a public safety or a public advisory statement as well. That,
And what is is it the easement of the streets? It's not, how about
the right of way, the
right-of-way.
strip on either side of the pavement, yes.
And that would be a lot of times.
Or the median.
Where the utility pole, does that have something to do with it?
There are utilities in those strips. There are sprinkler systems in those strips. There are often sprinkler systems on the edge of people's lawns.
So there is both an etiquette and a practical aspect to that.
Okay.
Kathy, pursuing the conversation relative to the holding in abeyance the enforcement of the temporary signs, have you had any complaints about the temporary signs since we've done that?
We have had no complaints.
Yeah, I think that speaks well to perhaps we aren't going to need much in terms of temporary sign regulations. I mean, the more regulations we can get rid of, the better it will be.
Agreed.
Thank you.
So have we eased the regulations on the signs at Temperance Hill Mall out there? We had a problem there about a year ago.
Temporary
signs.
Were they temporary signs?
Yeah, and they had a 6-month permit and then had to move the signs for 30 days, then apply for another 6-month permit, I believe.
My general answer would be temporary signs aren't being regulated at this time.
Okay.
But I would like to look specifically at that, and I can give you an answer tomorrow.
Oh, forget I said anything. It's okay.
Just stirring the pot. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Do we have, okay. Appreciate that. We have one person signed up, Renee Westfall.
Renee Westfall, 102 Glen Meadow, and I appreciate you allowing me to speak. I do have a concern about the complete repeal of the political sign ordinance. There is a long history of precedent and extra protections given to political speech. You will find it in the federal regulations, which require the lowest possible rate on radio and television. You'll find it in the exemptions given to the do not call list. You'll find it in the Secretary of State's rules in how political advertising is treated. It must be clearly designated as a political ad. And I think that while removing the regulations sounds wonderful, I'm concerned that if we remove that designation of a political advertising or sign, that we also remove some of the benefits that were intended to be there. And I know the temporary sign code, Ms. Selman was kind enough to explain to me, the temporary sign code's been repealed and no one's going to be following those rules. But that moratorium only exists until December 31st. And if we can put the temporary sign codes into a moratorium and work on that code, could we not also put the political signs in a moratorium and work on that? Because I agree, the Supreme Court has brought this issue up, but I don't see the rest of the nation or state completely removing the political sign exemption. One other concern I had, the real estate signs are they also going to be removed, or because that's content-based as well? Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe you can answer that one on the real estate signs.
At this time, real estate signs have a special section in the code, which you may have guessed needs to go. Mm-hmm. But they are temporary signs, and as such are not regulated at this time, as the political signs will not be regulated at this time.
Mm-hmm.
We as realtors hope they're temporary. Sometimes they're a little bit longer than we like.
After 2 years, you have to remove them.
Can't do anything about that.
I did not quite understand the speaker's request. Was she asking that we not pass this?
I think she was just.
I think she was proposing that an alternative might be to have a moratorium on political signs like we currently have under temporary signs, as opposed to repealing that section altogether. As the board knows, and as Ms. Westfall knows, the board would have the purview to bring that back at any point anyway. So whether it is a moratorium, an abeyance, or repealing that provision, that purview remains with the board to revisit it at any time you so choose.
Okay. Thank you.
I think the basic bottom line is have permission on private property more than anything else, and keep it out of the what do you call that? Easement. Easement.
Object easement. And we do have an emergency clause, so this would become effective immediately.
Yeah.
Correct?
Assuming you approve it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have one other comment before we vote on this. it's kind of unrelated to the issue, but is related to the issue. I see a lot of candidates who do place signs in public right-of-ways. And I wish instead of the street departments of the city, state, and county, the state, they're going to get them if they're in the right-of-way. But the city and county are lax. Yeah. They leave the signs until somebody complains. Mm-hmm. I wish if our crews see signs, they're in the right-of-way, they get them.
Yeah.
Don't bother to give the person the courtesy, because they should know better. I've seen this election after election, and I'm sick and tired of it. Bye.
I will second that motion.
And I can always, and you'll see statewide candidates do this. They don't have a lot of support. All of a sudden, one of their supporters runs through town and puts up signs everywhere.
Yeah.
And then after the election's over, they never come back and get them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think if we make the statement that if we see them, we're not going to give you a courtesy call. We're just going to come pick them up, and then you can come to the street department and you can get them.
That's a good idea.
Because that's what the state would do.
What about the ones that people put up on the side of buildings?
Like mine last year, and the guy that owned it wouldn't take it down.
That's a different matter. I'm really talking about the public right of way. I really, I dealt with this issue for 16 years, and it's a pet peeve of mine, candidates who put their signs in public right of ways, and they should know better.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's state.
I'm off my soapbox now.
All righty. All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Barney.
Aye. It is adopted.
Mayor, as the title indicated, there is an emergency clause, which I'll read separately. Section 2, effective date, emergency clause. This ordinance being immediately necessary for protection of the public health, safety, and welfare. It is hereby found and determined that an emergency exists and therefore shall be in full force and effect from and after the date of its passage and approval. That concludes a reading of the emergency clause. If you would, please entertain a motion a second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any discussion on that?
I would like the record to note that Director Williams seconded that emergency clause motion.
I'm not against all emergency clause because I think this one is an emergency.
I don't know what the emergency is, but we'll figure out what the emergency is. Okay, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, it is adopted. Okay, the next item of business is consider, how far down are we? 1650?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Consider ordinance number 1650. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion to suspend the rules, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed, please say no. Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 1650, an ordinance approving C3 Neighborhood Office Commercial District zoning on 1.55 acres at approximately 2500 Malvern Avenue and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. Please entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a second. Ms. Selman again.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request by applicant Tim Winston. He's seeking C3 Office Neighborhood Commercial District zoning for 1.55 acres, currently owned by Hillcrest Children's Home and located at 2500 Carpenter Dam Road. The subject property is currently zoned R2, suburban residential. The future land use plan map designation of the property is residential. The area is in Board of Directors District Number 6. It's bounded by Malvern Avenue to the north, Piper Street to the west, suburban residential development to the south, and residential homes to the east. The applicant stated the reason for specifically requesting C3 zoning is that the C3 zone serves as a buffer between low-density areas and high-intensity commercial uses with a primary use to serve surrounding neighborhoods, and this proposed rezone is the ideal parcel of land to serve as limited commercial development in close proximity to residential areas, and it is consistent with growth along this stretch of Malvern Avenue. The 3 acres of this parcel that are not included in this application, and that is the area to the south on the same parcel, will remain R2 suburban residential to be consistent with the surrounding area. Planning Commission advertised and held a hearing on August 11th, 2016 to consider C3 office neighborhood commercial zoning, and found that the proposed zoning is compatible with the subject property's location, with the adopted future land use plan map, with surrounding development and zoning, and with desired commercial uses, and that the development of the shopping center to the immediate west is a significant change in surrounding physical conditions, rendering future single-family residential use unlikely. The Planning Commission voted 7-0 to adopt the findings and to recommend approval to you, and therefore the recommendation is that you adopt this ordinance. Thank you.
Ma'am, is the buff brick house on page 77 of our packet, is that vacant?
No,
It is not?
it is not.
Is that part of the, is that part of the,
Say again?
Is this house vacant?
Yes, the tenants moved out about 2 weeks ago, I believe.
okay, has Mr. Winston purchased this property too?
That's a question for Mr. Winston.
So I didn't sign up to speak. I apologize.
That's okay. I'll write your name in.
Tim Winston, and working on this development. What was your question? I couldn't hear.
Have you purchased that property from the children's home yet?
No, it's contingent on it rezoning.
Okay, but you are planning on purchasing the property?
Yes.
Okay.
I do have a question for Kathy, and that is this a lot split? I mean, I support this project because I think it's good for the neighborhood, but it occurs to me that there is one lot that was split, and I didn't think that was permitted.
It is not a lot split. This rezones the north portion of the property and retains the existing R2 zoning on the southern portion. It does not divide ownership of the land in any way.
So the two lots, the one to the north is the one that's requested to be rezoned, but the other, this southern, is that a separate lot to the south of that?
No, there's one parcel. A portion of the parcel is being requested to have C3 zoning. The remainder is not.
I thought that
Am I
was
looking
not.
at the-
I thought that was not permitted, where a partial parcel was rezoned.
I'm not familiar with
Okay.
with that.
Then I'm misinformed. I mean, I support this project. I think it's good for the neighborhood.
But I think that both parcels should be rezoned.
Would that make it square?
Oh, Lord, Mayor.
What was the question?
It's just a little thing there. I said, would that make it square?
The red parcel is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the rectangle that has a line across it. That rectangle is one undivided parcel. That part of it will be zoned C3 should you approve the request. The remainder will be unchanged. It'll be suburban residential.
So the northern part will remain residential, and the southern part will become C3? Or just
Other way
the
around.
opposite?
Other way around.
Southern.
Why, I don't see why we wouldn't go ahead and make the whole thing C3. Is there?
Well, we haven't advertised it, and the requirement to rezone is that you provide notice based upon a legal description. We did not use that legal description of the entire parcel, but only for that northern piece.
Isn't it zoned commercial right across the street from that too?
It is.
I mean, not right across the street from the northern portion, but on the southern portion, I thought we had some rezoning all the way down to I think that's Karen Street.
I'll be honest, I can't read that from here.
Okay. Well, I can't either.
I know. And
That's
I don't
just my
have,
recollection. That's
I
all.
don't have page 77 with me. I very optimistically brought one map.
But actually, what is before us has been advertised, gone through the legal procedures, gone through the
Yes.
the
answers the
commission, and they're bringing us. So I don't think that we should try to change what's before us.
It would, should you be heading in that direction, it would need to go back to Planning Commission and would need to be re-advertised. So
I don't think we want to hold up anything. I think we're expressing our sentiment that is it's a great location for commercial development, and it would seem to be, I just didn't realize that you could take a piece of property and split it up, zone half of it one way and half of another. So I'm fine with it.
And I'd like to see Mr. Mr. Winston develop the rest of that property too, the southern part of it.
Yeah.
That's up to him. You've done a great job over there with your bulldozer. You just
You're
took down the
spending your
whole
money?
wheel. You did. You really did. You changed the whole world in that area. So if we can ever get that Carpenter Dam Road 4-lane, we've got it made. Yeah, state's got to do that, right?
17.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Any other discussion? No one else has signed up. Okay, hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Clark?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Ramick?
Aye.
Folly?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
Carney?
Aye. It is adopted, and thank you. Okay, the next item of business is consider ordinance number 01651. First of all, I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01651, an ordinance to impose an absolute ban on the solicitation and/or distribution of any item within streets or from medians located within streets of whatever classification within the city of Hot Springs, Arkansas, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved, Mayor. Second.
And a second. Chief. Oh, my goodness. Chief Station.
I'll answer to anything, Mayor. Thank you.
Chief, I've been gone for a while.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Frazier. The Hot Springs Police Department, in conjunction with Mr. Albright's office, proposes an ordinance be adopted to impose an absolute ban on the solicitation of any item within streets or from medians located within the city of Hot Springs. In the last month, we have seen a dramatic increase in the number of persons who solicit for contributions, donations, and money along many of our roadway intersections. Here recently, especially in the last week, we've seen an increase in the number of small children also with adults at these intersections. Needless to say that the activity of walking into a roadway around moving vehicles poses a significant safety hazard, not only to the pedestrian, but also to other motorists that obviously we've had some near misses in regards to motor vehicle collisions as well. The proposed ordinance does not attempt to regulate solicitation or distribution by any person on a sidewalk to another person on a sidewalk, nor is it intended to limit or dissolve one's First Amendment right to free speech, but serves the greater public interest in protecting all of our citizens and tourists and keep them out of harm's way. We have been very, very lucky in the last month that there has not been anyone get hurt, but I believe, just my personal belief, that we are on borrowed time. Our police department continues, which has been the case for the last 2 weeks. I've assigned several officers in outreach capabilities to make contact with these individuals, offer them services. We continue to reach out to these individuals. Very few of them have taken us up on that offer, but we will continue those efforts as time marches on. And what we're also finding is that a large group of these individuals are not really from the Hot Springs area as well. So with that little bit of information, then I'll defer to Mr. Albright for the reading or any other questions.
Well, just for further information for the board and the audience and anyone who might be listening, this this has gotten a lot of play around town. My office, social media, seems to be all the rage. So I would like to read for the board and the public what is being prohibited here so that you can consider this. Section 1 states, no person shall sit, stand, walk, or otherwise enter upon a roadway, median, or portion of a public street, or otherwise approach a vehicle located within any portion of a public street or roadway for the purpose of distributing anything to the occupant of any vehicle. Section 2, no person shall sit, stand, walk, or otherwise enter upon a roadway, median, or portion of a public street, or otherwise approach a vehicle located within a portion of a public street or roadway for the purpose of soliciting any item, including but not limited to money from the occupant of any vehicle. So it is not the act of exercising one's right to speech. Pardon?
Go ahead and read that.
Okay. The mayor's asked that I read the next section, which is the exceptions, Section 3. The provisions hereof shall not apply to any emergency personnel, roadside assistance, or towing and recovery personnel in the performance of their official duties. So it's not the action that's guaranteed by the Constitution for right of free speech. It is the safety concern of that person occupying or otherwise interacting with a motorist or an occupant of a vehicle in the public roadway which is being used for the conveyance of vehicles. People in vehicles, pedestrians in vehicles don't meet. That's why we have crosswalks. That's why we have controlled intersections. This is an effort to try to protect the public, those individuals who are engaged in the solicitation themselves, the motorists and occupants of those vehicles trying to traverse the streets. Yes, sir.
Counselor, could you give us a synopsis or a summary of Hot Springs Code annotated 1-1-15? These are the penalties set forth.
It's the general penalties provision for all of our ordinances.
So what I'm wondering is can you go out and arrest these people if they want, they continue to?
I will tell you, just like with any other new enforcement effort, if the board so passes this ordinance beginning, and if it's attached with the emergency clause, then beginning tomorrow morning, officers will make contact with every one of these individuals, explain to them the city ordinance, warn them, and then any other violations after they have been warned will result in a citation for them.
They don't leave immediately. They'll be violating.
We will ask them to leave immediately. Absolutely.
Would you like to know what
during that first contact?
Yes, please.
General penalty provision under the Hot Springs Code. Pursuant to Arkansas Code annotated Section 14-55-504, the following fine or penalty for violating any provisions of the Hot Springs Code of Ordinances shall be as stated hereinafter. This general penalty shall apply to all ordinances where no other fine or penalty is provided, and those ordinances which adopts this general penalty by reference. A, fine or penalty. Upon conviction in the district court or any other court of competent jurisdiction, the fine or penalty shall not exceed $500 for any one specified offense or violation, or double that sum for each repetition of such offense or violation, provided further that if a thing prohibited or rendered unlawful is, by its nature, continuous with respect to time, the fine or penalty for allowing the continuance thereof in violation of said code or ordinance of this city shall not exceed the amount of $250 per day that it might be unlawfully continued. B, statutory penalty. Notwithstanding the provisions contained within the foregoing subsection, the fine or penalty for violating any provisions of the Hot Springs Code of Ordinances shall not be less severe than the fine or penalty prescribed by similar offenses against the state law by the statutes of the state of Arkansas. C, imprisonment. Any person who, upon conviction in Hot Springs District Court, which now Garland County District Court, or any other court of competent jurisdiction, or any violation of any provision of the Hot Springs Code of Ordinances that is criminal in nature may, in addition to the other fines and penalties, be punished by not more than 1 year imprisonment. D, permit or license revocation. In addition to the other fines and penalties prescribed Hereby, the Garland County District Court or any other court of competent jurisdictions may revoke any permit issued upon violation of any provision of the Hot Springs Code of Ordinances. So
Thank you.
those are the penalties that are in play.
Still another question. Do you still have Chief's not here, the fire department used to have a donation thing called Fill the Boot. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir, I
So
remember.
that would be prohibited.
Yes, sir.
What about Girl Scout cookies? Median of a road.
As long as they're not on the roadway or medians going to vehicles.
Okay, so school organization, the Elks, VFW, they're going to have to be in front of Kroger's and Sam's.
Yes, sir. And
get
well, they
permission?
would have to ask permission from the owner.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have some people signed up. First of all, Michael Rogers.
Some of you probably recognize me. I'm the beggar that has been out on Airport Road off and on for the past year. The man who was put in jail unconstitutionally for using my right to free speech and having the nerve to ask for help from my fellow citizens. I did not, as a child, say I wanted to grow up and be a beggar. When I became a medic in the Army, not once did I say, I want to live on the streets. I want to be homeless for a large part of my life. I wish to beg. No one does these things. But this is what we're accused of. People look at us. They dehumanize us. What is going on here today has gone on in many municipalities across the United States. And this type of law has unequivocally been struck down by the courts time and time again. You cannot separate the act of receiving donations from the act of taking donations. Also, it has been ruled time and time again that roadsides, sidewalks, receiving donations from stopped traffic, notice I said stopped traffic, not moving traffic, that is dangerous, is part and parcel of that right to free speech. I've spoken to my lawyer, Bettina Brownstein of the American Civil Liberties Union. She assures me that this is an unconstitutional measure and that if you pass it, we will be filing suit in federal court. Not because, as a child, I grew up saying someday I want to sue the city of Hot Springs, but because these are my rights, these are these people's rights that are out there. The problems can be addressed in other ways. And I'm willing to work with the city council and the police department on finding constitutionally sound ways of helping with our problem. One of which would be, instead of banning solicitation through a roundabout way and violating the Constitution, you could always start registering the beggars, have them come in, have the police do a background check on them, charge them $20 to do a background check and issue them an ID card they wear. So if there's a problem with the beggar can be identified. This will also serve the service of discouraging the con men from out of town from coming in, standing on the corners for those few of us that are here that suffer extreme poverty, are trying to make money for food, for gas, for car repairs, for rent. We can stop these people from coming in through a registration service. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Sir, you didn't give us your address. What's your current address?
I apologize. My current address is 1489 Airport Road. Actually, I don't receive much in the way of donations.
Okay.
I go out one day a week.
Okay, we're signed up to speak for 3 minutes, and then we don't have discussion between them. Thank you. Okay, Stephen Ezel.
Most of y'all probably know who I am. I'm Steve Ezel, and
I live at 104 Chad Street in Hot Springs, and the job that I do as a vet is I help the police department service those veterans that are identified. And when they do identify themselves, I'm usually called by the police department. So I'm on call 24/7 to help those officers do their jobs, to identify and classify those veterans. I do have a problem, however, just like the chief has mentioned, that this is a safety issue, and this is a safety issue for my veterans. I don't think that there's very many veterans that's going to hit the street and step out in the street and ask for $1. I think the platform's wrong, that you identify yourself that you're a veteran begging for money. There's a difference. If you're going to ask for money, ask for it, but don't use the name of the veteran. It's a wrong platform, and you need to choose another platform to make that happen. We're talking about a safety issue here. We're not talking about anything else but safety. There are lives on the line when these people hit the streets, and when they're at the street corners, they are begging for money. I'm going to tell you, I witnessed it on Central and Grand. I saw a gentleman try to reach for money. The wind blew, took the dollar off to the street. He stepped out in the middle of the street with other passing traffic in the other lane. This is a serious problem. It's an accident looking for it happening. I do ask the court, this council, to heed to what the chief has to say. We do need to protect our citizens. This is not about a free speech issue, a begging issue. This is about safety. My veterans do not go out there looking for money with a sign in front of them saying, I'm a veteran, I need money. Thank you, council. I appreciate it.
Thank you. George Pritchett, excuse me, sir. No, you've had your 3 minutes.
George Pritchett, 207 Crestwood. Most of the topics I was going to bring up, I think we've covered, particularly the boot. I'm not sure which one of you gentlemen brought it up, but, the firemen did that. That would be appropriate. I'm going to point out that what we do at Christmas parades, bike rallies, St. Patty's Day parade, that's all also going to be prohibited. Throwing candy, running out in the street and getting candy, we're not going to be able to do that because we have motor vehicles going up, moving up and down the street. We have children going after it. We're going to have to control the people during these parades. And we're going to have to control the people throwing the candy.
I thought that was a rule. Is that not a rule already, not to throw candy?
Well, I don't know whether it's a rule, but it's violated. And I want to point out that I lived in several cities that have had this problem, and I'll tell you, we all worry over it and how to do it, and I don't have an answer for you. But the people out there that are doing that, the majority of them are legitimate. But we also had in Tulsa, we had a problem where they were hauling them out in vans and letting them out in the morning, and then they'd go back and get them in the evening. The gentleman in Hot Springs told me he was making about $80 a day and was being picked up by somebody and paying somebody. We need to regulate. We need to find a way to catch that, okay? We're not going to stop panhandling. I don't even know that we want to stop panhandling. But I do think we're going to have to look and see how it's going to affect parades, how it's going to affect other things, the boot that the firemen did. I think Director Ramey, someone mentioned about Girl Scout cookies. We're not going to have anybody doing it. The other thing is, and we have two fine officers over here that deal constantly with people out there on the street, and they're mentally unstable. They're mentally, whether they're bipolar, whatever's going on with them. And we got an ordinance, and I thank you, Attorney Albright, for reading all that. But if you're out there begging, you can arrest them. You just may as well figure you're going to put them in jail because they're not going to come up with the money. They put the kids out there to look a certain way. I don't have an answer, but I can tell you that we can arrest them, and the judges usually turn them loose pretty quick, and maybe there's a fine and they'll leave town. But I don't think we have a solution. I do think we'll wind up with a lawsuit because it's happened in so many cities before. And all of us know we don't need any more lawsuits, so I would think carefully about this. Maybe we try vagrancy and impeding traffic tickets and some of those things before we pass a law that prohibits it and changes everything for a lot of people in parades, et cetera. Thank you.
Okay, Cheyenne Allen. No, it's not. It's Shannon, Chenyn.
Yes. My name is Shannon Allen. I live at 408 Glade Street. And a lot of the issues that I had have been addressed as far as the other, like the boot and all that, and the parades. What I've seen is a demonizing or a villainizing of the people who are begging. I personally think that, if you don't want to, I understand about the safety issues, but I also know that there are other safety issues that this city is not addressing or finding to be an emergency. Right out here at Spring Street and Central, we have a light that tells people to turn left and also tells people to cross the street at the same time. That is, it's a miracle that no one has come making that turn while someone's crossing the street. So if there's a safety issue as far as people being in the street, address all of it, not just say, okay, we don't want to see these people out here begging, and so we're going to pass this ordinance when there are other legitimate safety issues that are out there as well. And I think that someone has brought this as a safety issue as an end run around trying to, we don't want to see this, the not in my backyard thing. Now, if people are coming here from out of town, I think that the registration would solve that issue. I think that would be a viable solution. It also generates, as has been said, it keeps them regulated, it helps identify, and it can also bring in some income to the city because they can get a paid permit. So that would, and I don't have an issue with that, and I think that if there's a safety issue, it needs to be addressed across the board, not just for this one special sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Any discussion with the board members? Do you have any?
I really find this discussion interesting because the people in our community are very generous, and people who are down and out seem to be able to get help relatively quickly from the people in our community. And yet from my constituents, I haven't heard one complaint about the begging. I have heard lots of complaints about the safety issue. And so while people are trying to make this just into a panhandling issue, it applies across the board to anything that's not safe. And so I was pleased with my constituents at how well they were able to separate the issues and just say this is really about safety.
It is about safety, and I've gotten emails and pictures where at some of these situations they've turned rather violent, where cars have been approached and people hit their windows. And so when it gets to that point, when they enter the street and hit your car, I think there has to be some regulation that prohibits that.
Well, and I think we as a city are very diligent in addressing any safety issues with our police and fire departments and even the board here. I think we're very sensitive to that. And this is just another issue that we're addressing tonight.
Yeah. And we also have, I praise Charitable Christian CCMC, it's not that anymore, but they have Bridges Out of Poverty program, which helps people in assistance in their finance, in their housing, in transportation. And there's so many areas that they're doing training in to help people to come to a level of being able to not have to do without the things that are just very basic. So there are a lot of programs in our city that are really working, and people are working hard at making it happen. Yes, Mr.
Well, I'm just going to say, just before this meeting tonight, I was in the Kroger parking lot, not the Kroger you work at, Elaine, but my Kroger, and a person that I think of as being a very progressive, tolerant, open-minded person. Some people would say liberal. But he voiced to me his concern. And I told him, well, we're voting on this ordinance tonight, and then he relayed to me a near wreck that he had observed near Chili's. And really, from a public safety standpoint, he said, I think you need to do this. I have a question for council. Now This ordinance is not going to regulate begging where somebody just walks up to you on the street and say, hey, my car broke down, or
No, sir.
my father's in the hospital, we need, that's not going to take care of anything like that.
Walmart parking lot is a good place to do that.
So anyway, I knew that was your answer, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Regulates activities and conduct within the public right-of-way, the
All right.
roadway,
Thank you.
street itself.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. Okay, that concludes the business section of tonight.
Got an
Oh,
Emergency clause.
emergency clause. Okay.
Mayor, this is found in Section 7, Emergency Clause, the ability to maintain safe streets and roadways for pedestrian traffic when automobiles have the right-of-way is essential to the public health, safety, and welfare. The proliferation of persons and entities that use streets, walk between vehicles, stand on medians, and approach vehicles has created a public safety hazard that must cease without violating the right to solicit donations and distribute materials on public property. An emergency is therefore declared to exist, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its date of passage. That concludes the reading of the emergency clause. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt it and have discussion, if any.
Do we have a motion to adopt?
I'll make the motion to adopt the
Second.
emergency.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Any discussion? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Abstain.
Ramick.
Aye.
Folly.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye.
It is adopted.
It is adopted. Okay. That concludes the business section of tonight's meeting. And are there any comments by the members of our board? Do you have any
I have
final-
two comments.
Okay.
One is I would like to clarify with council, an abstention on a vote is a no vote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. Secondly, with the situation that we've just discussed tonight on the street, I was wondering if there would be a possibility of getting the Department of Human Services in with some of the police officers that could meet with these families and try to help them out, especially the kids who have no shelter, that are out there on the corners. I feel like we've got to, I realize that their first approach is to offer help, but I think the Department of Human Services has a much larger bevy of services than just about anybody in town.
The police department will reach out to them tomorrow, try to make that happen.
Great, thank you.
Director Foley, I was just seeing if you were paying attention.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, immediately, do we have anyone signed up, Lance, for?
We did have one.
Okay. Immediately following the adjournment tonight, there will be a public comment section for the board chambers, and for those of you who will be leaving, please do so quietly. And there being no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move, Mayor, that we adjourn for the night.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Please say no. Okay, and if you'll wait just a few minutes. Oh, we are adjourned. Sorry. We have.